Doom, 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 bow, 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 doop, 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 boom, doo, 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 doom. It's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you go over the top rope. And then you bang your head on the ring apron. Don't do that. That's when you feel like a big dope. They're the worst bumps you can be taking. Oh yeah, it's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you reach out for that hot tag. Then you go ahead and make your own comeback. Don't do that. Some quit wrestling. Red or off rolling and thumbtacks. Yeah, it's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Double claps. The hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da. Hey! What's going on, Bob Squad? Good to see you. Good to hear you. Good for you to hear me, you crazy cats, you rabid dogs, you wild animals frothing at the bit, chomping at the mouth, drool dribbling down your chin, crawling on top of one another like hermit crabs crawling out of a bucket. You're goddamn champions. Oh my goodness, what do you say? What do you know? Tip the veal, try the waitress. Hey, waka waka. Cold War, Reaganomics, airline food sucks. Where's the beef? OJ stab people. We're adding insult to injury, throwing gas on a fire. We got Weisenheimer's cracking wise, hooligans on the up and up, dames are flipping their lids, and jokers are on the straight and narrow. It's absolutely bananas. 2 strikes, 2 outs, and our Brooklyn Dodgers win a series. 23 skidoo. Podcast. Okay. Well, yeah, this is the old one. This is another old pay-per-view. These are fun to do. I think I enjoy these more than the modern stuff. I'm less grumpy when we do. Let me turn a light on so I can see what I'm doing. All right, you didn't need to know that. Yeah, I picked Summerslam '91, but it's not a 30-year anniversary. You're goddamn right. It's the 29-year and 8-month anniversary or something like that. I'm gonna do it ahead of time because hey man, chat me up. Why don't we do a 30th? Shut the hell up. Not chatting anyone up. We're doing this right. We're talking about SummerSlam '91 right now. Okay, I know it's WrestleMania season. I know after this week, it's the 18 days in a row of whatever the hell WrestleMania is, and I'm not looking forward to it anymore. I don't. Yeah, I'm dreading the entire experience, quite frankly. So I figured I'd go back to a wacky one that I haven't watched in a long time. I had this on VHS recorded from the pay-per-view as a kid, and I watched this for the first time in God knows how long. And we're going to talk about SummerSlam '91, you crazy cats. What a weird, wild, and wacky, zany, nutty, mad camp off the wall, off the hook, off the chain, under the table, under the weather, under the radar pay-per-view. There were so many conclusions to the golden era of wrestling. There were so many stories that were so wrapped up so nicely in a bow. I don't think most of them were intentional, but yeah, a lot of little it's almost like the mid '90s in WWF. The certain era kind of began here in a lot of ways. A lot of weird stuff, especially because it took place in Madison Square Garden in New York City, near the closest to the for me the 34th Street and Herald Square. N and Q and R train, the yellow line subway stop, if you need to know. Because I was able, when I lived there recently, I was able to get to Madison Square Garden to and fro fairly quickly because I was in Astoria and those trains, it's just one train in and out and hell of a lot easier than getting to Barclays in Brooklyn. That's not important right now. But yeah. So and this is when MSG was so important to the WWF, and Barclays kind of took it over in the last 5-8 years, and now it's up till recently, until we all got really sick. It was just a place where yeah, now it was just a bunch of house shows for the last 4 or 5 years, and those are fun. I went to a few; they were a lot of fun. I was there when AJ Styles beat Kevin Owens for the U.S. Championship. Who cares? Okay, very nice. SummerSlam '91 opens with that glorious song I was butchering up top, and it has a moving graphic of the main event for reasons unexplained. I could do a separate, thesis on what other matches could have taken place on this show to make it more memorable. But be that as it may, Do you know why I say that all the time, Bob Squad? Why I go, be that as it may, at least once an episode? Because old Vince McMahon, the Vince McMahon that I loved, my Vince McMahon, when he was an announcer, he would have his own phrases. Back body drop, scoop and a slam, up and down to the canvas. And be that as it may, that notwithstanding, all things considered, he would have all these little things, and it was a lot of fun to listen to Vince. He was over the top when over the top was still cool before it wasn't cool and got cool again. And again, this is the era he's in a full snarl. He's doing the Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, Sergeant Slaughter. He's just he's doing his thing. But the best part about this moving graphic, and again, if you watch this on a network, do not hit skip intro ever for these things. You're missing the best part. Hogan and Warrior are phoning in this motion because they have to be moving during the green screen that's going on behind them. So the graphics are moving, and they have to be moving too. They're not. It's not like it's not like they took a still picture of the wrestlers and the wrestlers are being animated. They have to keep moving, and Warrior is doing the most half-hearted teeth grimacing flex, and Hulk Hogan is doing the classic smile, but not with your eyes. Like he would rather be anywhere else than standing next to the Ultimate Warrior, and it was so gosh darn comical to me because the Warrior is so tan and Hogan is so much more tan. It's preposterous. And we open the show with Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan. You know this is going to be good, and throwing Roddy Piper for a whole lot of fun. You would think that Piper would kind of hinder the Heenan and Gorilla vibe, but he doesn't. He adds a lot. He can be a bit much, and you didn't see a lot of three-man teams back in the day, and you know because they never really worked. So of course they kept doing it for the last 20 fucking years. Um, but still, this worked because Piper. There were certain issues on the show that Piper would have more to say about, and he would get on Bobby's case a lot, and it worked out way better than you'd think it would. So that's definitely worth it. We open the show with the heels are already in the ring, so we can. The purpose being we can get to the action quicker on a WWE pay per view. Let me take a sip of this Diet Dr Pepper. Tastes like regular Dr Pepper, but it isn't. No sugar. Mm. Oh boy. Yeah, we got Hercules and Paul Roma, the tag team of Power and Glory, teaming with their friend the Warlord. I don't know if they were friends. And all managed by the Slickster. And they're gonna wrestle the three good guys. The first good guy to enter is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who's he would have the most history of all the baby faces in the Garden. The Garden was every time people kind of roll their eyes and scoff at what the Garden was, watch this show because they are so loud and care so much about everything and let you know how they feel about everything. And chance didn't exist yet. There was a Let's Go Brett at one point, but okay, that's one. But there was no chanting. There was just noise and caring and cheering and booing and clapping. Who knew? And everything in between. Whistles, a lot of whistling, a lot of that. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat enters and he's dressed like a dragon. and he blows fire. I'm not kidding. He blows a ring of fire. I guess he had tequila in his mouth the whole time. That's the story that I think he's always told. They gave him and they taught him how to do it and blah blah blah. Then a Texas Tomato, Kerry Von Erich, enters the ring, and the British Bullfrog enters right after him. And this was a little creepy and a bit of a premonition. Piper says with Texas Tomato, Kerry Von Erich, he says he was Texas born, Texas bred. Gosh darn it, I'll be Texas dead. Unfortunately, less than 2 years later, he was. Actually, all three announcers are gone. Tomato's gone, Bulldog's gone, Hercules is gone. Listen, I'm not going to do the "this is who's dead" thing throughout the whole pay-per-view. It's more than half. Okay, it's not good, including announcers and ring announcers and interviewers. And everyone's just dead. This is the most depressing fucking thing. No, it was actually a lot of fun. That makes you forget they're dead. There's a great line in here where Piper calls. I don't know. I laughed at this because I was 11, and I think I laughed at it up until an hour ago. Uh, Piper says to Bobby Heenan, he refers to him as Boobs, and Heenan says, "Gorilla, tell him to quit calling me Boobs." And Gorilla's like, "Why don't you tell him?" And it's a whole thing. But "quit calling me Boobs" was funny to me. because word boobs and I'm immature. So this is great. This is one of my favorite Ricky Steamboat matches, and it's a six-man, if that makes any sense. He's in there most of the time selling, but doing as he does his arm drags, you gotta do them arm drags. No one's talking about that Tito Santana headlock takedown, but god damn it, we got to go on about Steamboat's arm drag. No, but he's great, does the arm drags, and he's selling, and people are just behind him, and it's really terrific. And Tomato and Bullfrog come in when they need to. I just call them that to be stupid. It's not like I'm shitting on them or that I don't think they were, great wrestlers or personalities or what have you. I'm just being an idiot because I like being an idiot. What's the difference? Hercules was the legal man, but Paul Roma got pinned anyway after a high crossbody from Ricky the Dragon Steamboat on the off the top turnbuckle. I guess the referee was really dragging his feet when it came to the legality. Get it, dragging his feet because Ricky did. Okay, okay, okay. So it makes everyone happy. It's make them happy up top. Sean Mooney, I love it when Sean Mooney enters Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect always has to call him Mooney, like a jerk. And this is during the brief, like 2 or 3 week period that Mr. Perfect was managed by Coach, a guy with a whistle. And I guess this guy was a manager previously called the Golden Greek, John Tolas, whatever. He's dead. And they have a lot of faith in a manager when he's not allowed to talk and just blows a whistle. So Heenan had been announcing, I guess, his full-time commentary, and he gave up his Intercontinental Champion, Mr. Perfect, to this guy, the coach, and we never saw the coach again. I doubt we saw the coach on TV more than twice, too, coming up. And this is one of Perfect's most infamous matches, and this is what I talk about wrapping things up. This was the last match of Mr. Perfect's iconic 88 to 91 run, the one everyone knows him for. The run, just like Million Dollar Man, everyone thinks they had these like awesome 7 or 8 year iconic runs. No, they didn't. They were like 3 years, um, but they were so iconic that we think it was this longer, grandiose thing. It wasn't, but it was so memorable. Mr. Perfect, of course, cuts an awesome promo about why he's perfect and he's going to beat Bret Hart. Sodas puts a bow on Mr. Perfect, and this Bret Hart, he wrestles, and Stu and Helen are at ringside, and of course here comes Heenan with the jokes, and you hear Gorilla, Stu and Helen looking nervous, and Bobby, well, that's because they snuck in, they're afraid of the ushers. Will you stop? A lot of will you stops, countless will you stops in SummerSlam '91. So they have this iconic match, and I'm going to say something controversial here. No, I'm not. I like this match better than Bret and Bulldog in '92 at Wembley, the one that everyone loves. They just go on and on about it. Bret and Perfect had a heel, which is good. It had the Garden. I know there were 80,000 in Wembley going absolutely bananas, and it was an iconic thing, but it kind of seemed to me, even at the time I would have been 12 at SummerSlam '92, it seemed to me the foregone conclusion that, okay, the guy with British in his name is winning this match. And it's a babyface thing. And I knew Dollars to Donuts, Bulldog's almost definitely winning, and they're almost definitely shaking hands at the end. I was sort of starting to figure that out. But 11 years old in '91, with Bret, we'd only known him as a singles. This is his first pay-per-view singles match. He was just a half the Hart Foundation, but everyone knew for years, even fans could tell, that hey, there's something extra special about that one guy. Anvil got a lot of the attention. Excuse me, and he should, because he was huge. The laugh, the goatee, the yeah baby. Anvil was the fun one, especially when you were 9 and 10. But then gradually you notice, hey, at these MSG house shows, and again, they're at the Garden, at the MSG house shows, Bret for years would have that singles match with DiBiase, Rick Martel, Mr. Perfect, and people would just go, oh man, Bret toured with these 20-minute things in a place where they didn't have 20-minute matches. And they just kind of knew. But he was still so much of an underdog. It did not seem like he was going to win this match. I think similar to the year before with Perfect and the Tomato, this was a very last-minute announced match, if my memory serves me, and it never does. But they have this great, wonderful back-and-forth match with Bret trying everything, and just a nail-biter through and through. everyone's selling everything, and Mr. Perfect had all the back injuries, so this is his last match for like a year and a few months when he had the whole other thing, but that's another story. So this is his last match for a while. And it's the end of that Mr. Perfect run. He loses the title to the guy that the fans knew was I hate this expression, but the workhorse the whole time. And he gave that workhorse the awesome match that you expect him to have, and he made Bret Hart. At least he pulled him up to new singles wrestler to IC champion, new close to top guy level. He made Bret Hart a credible Intercontinental Champion in that match. I can't say he made Bret Hart a main event or a superstar WWF Championship level performer. Bret kind of did that for himself when he wrestled Bulldog the following year. But in this case, Perfect elevated Bret, and not by doing the weird submission. They rang the bell immediately, like Bret hooked the hold, the sharpshooter, and they immediately rang the bell. Maybe Perfect was just in pain and said, fuck it, just ring it. But Bret had to cinch it in, and it made Bret look kind of like a jerk. He would do that to the jobbers on a Superstars show, too. He would hold it for a few extra seconds, which is kind of odd, but we just went with it. But my guess is that with Perfect in that instance, because they rang the bell the second he hooked it, and Bret wasn't even really sitting in, he needed to hold it for another just 2-3 seconds, just because they need to take pictures of the damn thing. They need to have a second of video on it, and purple of him with the hold and Perfect shaking his head. He needed, because it was going to be on the magazines when that was an important thing, the WF magazine. They needed that photo of Bret really cinching in his hold. They can't have Bret barely having his hold on and look, he won. It just kind of looks like shit. So, so I get why he had to cinch it on a few extra seconds there, but what's done is done. Lord Alfred Hayes interviews Stu and Helen Hart. Oh dear, this is unintentionally funny. Alfred asks Stu a question, and Stu says something no one can understand, and Stu's still talking as Alfred takes the microphone and says, "There you have it," and Stu's still saying something, God knows what. Mr. Bret Hart rips Mr. Perfect's blue tights off, and Perfect thankfully had pants on underneath. That's why you always see that blue. It looks like a towel, but it's really Perfect's blue and black singlet. That's on Bret's left shoulder whenever you see the photo of him. But the Garden goes bananas for this match, and they needed a break, and thankfully they got one shortly after. We have a commercial for Hot Ticket. If you don't remember Hot Ticket, good. In 91, there were 2 extra weird pay-per-views that weren't pay-per-view wrestling events. They were these basically pay-per-view compilation things. And there was one WrestleMania one and a Hulk Hogan one covering the entire career of Hulk Hogan from 84 to 91, which is hilarious. I'm sure they were at a lower price or something. I don't remember. I didn't get one, thankfully. I doubt they're on the network. That would be highly unlikely and not watchable. But yeah, that was just a weird thing. They were just trying something. Again, you could only see these shows, these pay-per-views, like 6 months later on, 4 months later on Coliseum Home Video, maybe at the local video store. So for you couldn't just watch Hogan fight Savage at Mania 5 whenever you felt like it. Okay, that was not even close. You had to have that on tape, but not if you order this pay-per-view. When me and Gene Okerlund talks to Andre the Giant and the Bushwhackers, I'm not kidding. This was I think it was the last WWF appearance of Andre ever. Oh boy. Another bow wrapped up, okay? So that's Perfect, Bret, Andre. That's bow number 3. We're wrapping up here. They cut it in a promo. They're mad at the natural disasters. The earthquake did a thing on Superstars where he took out Andre's knee. Jimmy Hart had said, "Hey, I'm going to manage Andre the Giant, who hadn't wrestled in a long time." And even when he had last wrestled, he really hadn't wrestled. So earthquake hurts his leg, and now Andre has metal crutches, and I don't know what the hell those things were made out of. But whatever those things are made out of, that's what I want my car made out of, because that's got to be the safest vehicle in the world. Because Andre is really big, you get it, you understand. The natural disasters wrestle the Bushwhackers with Andre the Giant. I'm not kidding. Bobby Heenan leaves in the middle of this match to drop the name Ric Flair. Okay, that's bow number 4. Ric Flair is coming. After all these years, we announced that Ric Flair, who was not on the show, but Bobby Heenan had the NWA/WCW, whatever you want to call it, championship. What would it technically have been at the time? I think it would have been WCW at the time, right? Yeah, no, it already been WCW a couple of years, but what did they call the champ? I know that, but what did they call the championship? Could be a good question. They might have still called it the NWA Championship because Turner bought Crockett, but didn't buy the NWA, right? Huh? Who the fuck cares? Heenan's got the big gold belt, and he decides in the middle of the Natural Disasters Bushwhackers match, he did what everyone in the arena really wanted to do, and that was leave. But the Bushwhackers, I poke the Disasters a bit. Eventually, the Disasters beat the Whackers. Earthquake gives, I think, Luke his splash thing with his butt on his chest. With Earthquake's butt on Luke's chest, not Earthquake's butt on Earthquake's chest. I mean, I know he's agile for a big man, but let's be serious. Yeah, what happens now? Oh yeah, so the Disasters win, and then the Disasters keep beating on the Whackers. I don't call them the Whackers. And the LOD, the Legion of Doom, who aren't supposed to wrestle yet, but they're here. They run out, and they clear house, and they just do like a few punches, and they just bump the Disasters out. They can't have a full-on thing. And and Andre takes his crutch, and I think he whacks Earthquake or with his or Typhoon with one of his metal crutches on the outside of the ring. He doesn't get in the ring, obviously. And at one point, the Bushwhackers put both their hats on Andre's head. And our last WWF memory of Andre the Giant, the first ever WWF Hall of Famer, one of the most iconic, maybe the only wrestler worldwide who can match Hulk Hogan in recognition, whatever. Our last memory of him was wearing two Bushwhacker hats on metal crutches, unable to walk, in a match no one talks about anymore, except me on the hardest part of the ring. So we got Brett Perfect, Andre. Is that three? What other was it? What was the other one? I forget. There was a fourth one too. What the hell was the matches? I don't really remember. That's three bows. That's at least three bows we're wrapping up there. Okay. Okay. Four. By counting Ric Flair. Ric Flair is coming. That's the thing. Bobby Heenan walks into Hulk's dressing room, and Hulk Hogan cannot be bothered for this silly backstage thing they show. It's just a 20-second thing. Heenan knocks on a door, and it has in very small letters Hulk in old computer font because it's old, and on a piece of paper taped to a door that Hulk Hogan was clearly not in, and you never see Hogan. And he says, Heenan, real world champion, this belt belongs to Ric Flair, blah, 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 blah. The door slams. Heenan drops the thing and yells, and you wouldn't do that if Ric Flair was here, blah, 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 blah. And Heenan did such a wonderful job of building up Ric Flair before Ric Flair's arrival in September or something. Um, really, Heenan should get so much credit for the initial crazy heat that Ric Flair did have for his first several months there. And educating the people as to why they should care about Ric Flair. So, because I think most fans did know who it was, because I know yes, they were Northeast WWF fans, but at the same time, like it's not like he said Tully, no offense, because he was already there, but it's not like he said Tully Blanchard's coming, Lex Luger, even Lex Luger or Stinger's coming, they might go, but he says Ric Flair, like those fans know who that is. Even if they didn't see all his stuff, they know who he is. And we advertised the Macho Man on the hotline. You had to call this 1-800-1900 $8,800 a minute to listen to, I'm sure, a pre-recorded Randy Savage thing to hear about his pre-wedding jitters. That's right, the main event of the show is a wedding. Did I mention that? It was billed as the match made in heaven and the match made in hell. The handicap thing with Hogan Warrior versus Slaughter and Friends is a match made in hell, and it sure was. And the match made in heaven is the wedding. We'll get there. So we talked to Sean Mooney, who was talking to Ted DiBiase and Sensational Sherry. Sherry doesn't say that much here. And DiBiase reminds us, hey, I'm going to wrestle Virgil. I'm putting my $1 million championship up on a line. And this is a short video clip of all the degrading things I had Virgil do after all these years. And I'm going to send him back to wherever he came from, blah, 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 blah. Notice no backstage Virgil promo. Gene Okerlund is with the Mountie and the NYPD police. The NYPD cops. The cops are not taking the Mountie too seriously. If you don't remember, the Mountie will wrestle the Big Boss Man later. The loser has to go to a New York City jail and spend the night there. And the New York City police, what they don't show you, they saved this for the Coliseum home video. They didn't show it on pay-per-view. Was that on the Coliseum home video? The reason those police look so happy during the Mounties promo is they just beat up the Slickster for no reason. Okay, Bob. Hey, I lived there. I saw the NY. Okay, Bob, enough. Mooney. He's such a nice guy. He always likes your tweet if you tweet out. Mooney interviews the Big Boss Man. And, oh, wait a minute. I jumped the gun here. DiBiase. Yeah, I really jumped the gun. After the Ted DiBiase interview was a Ted DiBiase match. Hey, who the hell would have thunk it? DiBiase and Virgil have this wonderful back and forth. This is one of my favorite Ted DiBiase matches because really it's a great Ted DiBiase match, and Virgil just kind of walked backwards into it by accident. DiBiase does everything DiBiase does. The way he goes over the top rope with the back and the forth, all the atomic drops he's selling, and the clotheslines over the top, and he does his gut wrench, and he does 3 great vertical suplexes and his fish drop and his knife edge chop, and then he whips you off the rope and he gives you a clothesline with his left arm. Did you notice that? Yeah, what a fun. This is bow number 6. Bow number 6. Virgil, after years of abuse, of the 3 years, which is a lifetime back then, of abuse by the $1 Million Man, Virgil defeats him for that $1 Million championship, the championship that DiBiase bought and never won, never earned. His bodyguard, his servant, takes it away from him in a physical contest, and what fun this match is. Virgil's a house of fire up top, DiBiase flies around, cuts him off. Eventually, Virgil actually hooks DiBiase in the $1 Million Dream, and you think that's going to be the most poetic end, but Sherry comes in with a loaded purse. Referee rings the bell. We think it's a disqualification, and they made a rule this belt on this day cannot change hands via disqualification. The referee, Howard Finkel, makes this hilarious announcement. The referee has every right to disqualify DiBiase, blah, blah, blah. However, he has made 2 rulings. Number 1, Sherry must leave. Number 2, this match will continue. The place erupts. And Virgil has the match. And then we bump the referee. Of course we do. And as the referee's starting to get to his feet, DiBiase takes his foot and he kicks the referee right back down. And he's giving Virgil a pile driver and 3 big suplexes. And he's pointing at Piper. And Piper on commentary is helping this match out so hard because he's been involved in the angle and he's been supporting Virgil, but Piper does not help him when he doesn't get physically involved, which made it so much bigger and better, I think. Until I think a month later we realized Virgil, if he's not fighting DiBiase, there's 0 reason to care about him. So DiBiase stalling and hitting move after Virgil, just making Piper watch it. I'm going to make you watch what I do to this guy. All the work you put in, I'm throwing it down a toilet. I'm the $1 Million Man, damn it. Rips the buckle off, exposes the metal strut and that holds the ropes together. Goes to whipping Virgil. Virgil sidesteps him and puts DiBiase's head into it. Drapes over the arm. The referee just got booted by DiBiase, which was probably his cue to get up. 1, 2, 3. Slow 1, 2, 3. DiBiase, Virgil wins the belt. That's bow number 6. Does DiBiase finally loses his belt to the bodyguard? Really good stuff. Oakland does the thing with the mounting and the cops I already made fun of. Mooney talks to the boss man. And then we have the loser goes to jail match. I remember this match in my head being really loud and exciting, and I think people were needing a break. The action wasn't quite as great. Jacques Rougeau was never that good in the ring. His bumps were always the shits. They would be a long, slow, kind of crumbling side, but you just know. Yeah, he sucked. And no one took the Mountie gimmick seriously. Boss Man beats him with an Alabama slam. Okay, wasn't that weird? The Boss Man just beats him, basically, and then the cops come up and they take the Mountie away. And the Mountie was pretty entertaining during these skits. They revisit this 3-4 times throughout the rest of the show. But the Mountie's dragged into a paddy wagon, and they show you him going down the long MSG corridor. And out onto 33rd Street, as Gorilla Monsoon would say. I don't know whether he went east on west on 33rd Street. It depends which way 33rd Street goes. It goes one of the two ways. I don't remember which one went which way. I guess I could figure it out. Hold on a second. Let me think. If I came out on the Upper East Side on 60th, and yeah, east. He would have gone east on the 33rd. Okay. Did you know that? You don't need to know that. Who the hell cares? New York City people are notoriously obnoxious about the geography of New York City. I don't know why that is, but yeah. They went east on 33rd. Do you need to know? There you go. By 8th Avenue, I think it is. Okerlund talks to Ted and Sherry, and they are very angry. Sean Mooney talks to. There are 11 interview segments in a row here. Sean Mooney talks to Bret Hart, who cut a very good 30-40 second babyface promo. They doubted me. I proved them wrong. You found out with the excellence of execution. I'm Canadian. Okerlund talks to the Disasters. They're very upset. Sean Mooney talks to the Big Boss Man. He's happy he won the contest. Why wouldn't he be? Okerlund talks to Randy Savage, who's still hyping the 900 number. Savage is having a good time, pretending to talk to someone on the phone. He's very entertaining here. Go watch these. They show the paddy wagon, as they call it, with Jimmy Hart, the Mountie being dragged out of it, rather. Sean Mooney talks to Jimmy Hart, who is upset, but he can't worry about that now because the Nasty Boys, who he manages, are going to defend against the Legion of Dummies, as he would call them. Okerlund talks to the Legion of Dummies. Hawk says, "What a rush," and well, and which I always thought was the better part. The Mountie then gets fingerprinted. If we go back to the Mountie, and he says, "You want the finger? I'll give you the finger." Uncensored middle finger on 1991 network TV. The Peacock didn't catch that one yet. Oh, it gets worse. Mooney talks to Sergeant Slaughter and General Adnan, who's dead, and Colonel Mustafa. Gene Okerlund talks to Sid Justice, who was Sid Vicious in WCW. He was the special guest referee. The Legion of Dummies. Who are they talking to here? I wrote something down next to this. Who the hell cares? Anyway, they come to the. Oh, there's a promo from them too. Did they already talk to somebody? Did I write that down already? Oh well. Well, there they are again. The Nasty Boys wrestle the Legion of Doom in a no DQ, no countout match, but there were still tags, which made no sense. Then one of the Nasties hits a thing of sodas and then what's now ice water all over Hawk, and he says it's the first bath he's had in weeks, and there's water all over the mats, which I'm sure saw a few guys in the back were saying, "Hey, slipping and falling out there, it don't work for me, brother." That's probably why neither the IRS Valentine or the handicap match, this differently abled adults match, went outside the ring, because neither of those matches went outside the ring. I'll have you know. Okay, I noticed that. I'm a very smart man. Former World Tag Team Champion. Drink Diet Dr. Pepper, tastes like regular Dr. Pepper. The Mountie is in jail. Oh yeah, the Nasty Boys brawl with the Legion of Doom. They give Sags the Doomsday Device. I guess they couldn't win the tag team thing without Doomsday Device. Bow number 7. Bow number 7 is all tied up. The Road Warriors have finally arrived, and at the time this was a big deal to win all three NWA, AWA, and WWF Tag Team Championships. No one had done that, and they did that in Madison Square Garden, finally winning the WWF Championships after their arrival a year prior. That's Bow number 7, all wrapped up nice. The Mountie is in jail. He hadn't been on TV long enough for us to care about that being another bow to wrap up. Well, there you go. Oh, the Mountie is in jail now, and I think he tries to escape, and they don't let him. The cops are so sweaty in this segment; they are dripping because it's August in New York, and it's 90-something% humidity, 90 degrees, and they are just gross, and they're also probably exhausted from beating up Virgil for trying to grab his wallet. I got it! I killed a mosquito! I just killed another mosquito. That's got to be a thing. I don't even see mosquitoes when I'm not recording this podcast. Do you know that? They get in here. I want my blood. My blood's not interesting anymore because it doesn't have sugar because I'm drinking Diet Dr. Pepper, which tastes like regular Dr. Pepper. IRS, Erwin R. Shyster. I paid my taxes already, did you? Oh wait, you guys are not in this country. Never mind, disregard that. He tells everyone in Madison Square Garden they don't pay their taxes, and he wrestles Greg the Hammer Valentine, the last singles match for Greg the Hammer Valentine on pay-per-view. WWF, anyway. Right? That doesn't count as a bow. It kind of and it does in a way. It's a goodbye Hammer, but he puts over a new guy who's not really that new of a guy. That doesn't. I won't count that. We'll stay at 7 bows, but IRS beats him. Hammer goes for the figure four and rolls him up for a hair pull. 1, 2, 3. Because Hammer wasn't losing to this guy's finish. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. And another commercial for Hot Ticket. And then Gene Okerlund talks to the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, and they do the classic Hogan starts, Warrior in the middle, Hogan does the tagline, and then they do the thing. And they're both really close, and you think they're going to kiss, but they don't, which would have made the thing way more memorable. This is the infamous night. This will be bow number 8. This is also Warrior's last match. It's Perfect's last match. It's Warrior's last match of his first iconic run. Everyone knows him for. There's a thing backstage. You know the story. If you're a hardcore wrestling fan, you know the whole story. Warrior didn't like his payoffs from I guess Mania 7, and he said he wouldn't go out if we didn't get paid from what he thought he should be paid. And Vince paid him everything he wanted, let him wrestle the match. Warrior comes back, and Vince fires him. That's the long and short of that whole thing. And Hogan would say all these things over the years. We were like, oh, Sheik, Colonel Mustafa at the time. Sheik will break his leg because he was an Olympian, blah, blah, blah. They didn't know if that was going to happen. If Colonel Mustafa was in there for 8 seconds and Warrior suplexed him, like nothing. I remember noticing as a kid, Warrior, it felt like Warrior was barely in this match. This match was really Hogan versus Slaughter, and they would get tiny breaks here and there if Mustafa or Warrior would just kind of jump in and give him a little breather, and we get back to Hogan and Slaughter, which are the best workers in a match. General Adnan was never legally in a ring, I don't think. I think maybe he tagged in for a second. He did like 2 kicks and got right back out. He was just there to be there. He was there just so they can say it's 3-on-2, so it looks like the baby faces are at a disadvantage. If you're Joe Sixpack, look at the physiques of the faces and the physiques of the heels. I don't care if he had 10 General Adnans at his side. No way did it look like Sergeant Slaughter had the advantage in his match. Preposterous. But they have this match. Little thing to look out for, because Sid Justice is the referee, and the announcers are teasing all night long, and it went nowhere. We think, is Sid going to side with Slaughter or side with Hogan? We think he might be corrupt. We're worried that Slaughter got to him or something. And it doesn't happen. Sid poses Hulk at the end, and Sid was going to be this big monster babyface who was going to feud with Taker, but Sid gets hurt right before the Survivor Series. It's a whole other thing. But, what was my original point? I forgot what it was. Sid Vicious is finally here. He's a monster we'd seen on TV for a year or so, but not that TV. Yeah, I'll count that. That's bow number 8. That's bow number 9. Warrior was 8. And in the Garden, 7.5 years, which at the time was an eternity. Now it's like nothing. The network is that old, 7 years. Hogan, who had beat the Iron Sheik, Colonel Mustafa, in this match in January of '84, he beats another anti-American guy and celebrates and poses and poses and for an absurdly long time because they went back to other packages and came back, and Hogan he's making Sid pose and everything else. Oh yeah, Hogan takes some powder and throws it in Slaughter's eyes, leg drop 1, 2, 3, but the powder was okay. Warrior chased Adnan and Mustafa away with a chair, and that was the last time we saw Warrior until the following WrestleMania. So that's how Warrior. So Warrior, his thing comes to an end. Perfect comes to an end. DiBiase finally gets his. LOD are there. Are finally the champions, rather. Bret Hart finally gets his win. Ric Flair is officially coming in here, and the NWA Championship is on their TV, which is just crazy. Because we just think of it as Vince didn't own everything once upon a time. It was so bananas. Even as an 11-year-old, I'm like, how could that be? It blew my mind. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else to wrap up. So that was 8. So that would be the 9th bow. So Hogan in the Garden, where he beat the Sheik and started Hulkamania, he poses and makes everyone happy and beats the anti-American guy. So Sid would beat. I'm counting. I don't know why I care about this. That's my 10th. So Sid and Hogan would be W 8, 9, 10. Then we go to something. Oh yeah, it was my original point. When Hogan takes the belt off, when he enters and he takes the belt off, which is not on the line here, he takes it off, he tosses it up for Sid to catch, and then takes his shirt off. And I think he said, "Hey, big man," or "Heads up, big man." He calls him big man. And you know Hogan is sizing up Sid for one of two things. Either this is the motherfucker that's supposed to take my place, or I could work with this guy and make some money. And he probably thought first I could work with this guy and make some money. They did main event at WrestleMania, which we covered. So, but anytime a new big muscular blonde guy comes in, you know Hogan's already like, "Oh, hey brother, what's this? Is this supposed to be my replacement here?" Um, and no, you can't replace Hulk Hogan. But there was a little something up there. Hogan's like, one way or another, I'm doing something. I'm teaming with this guy. I'm going against him, or probably both. Inevitably, technically both, if you want to be technical. But yeah, so there was a little something big man when he makes him catch the belt. There's a little something. A little something, something, a little old school. Not everything was so homogenized. Everyone didn't come out and stop and do their pose and everything else. The garden, the entrance side they were using at the time, was a very short aisle way. You were at the ring almost immediately, and everything just didn't look the same. SummerSlam '91 doesn't. The arena does not look like it did in '90 or '92. Obviously in '92, everything looked different. In '93, they were in Michigan, and there was red, white, and blue balloons everywhere. Everything didn't look the same all the time. Then we recap. Oh wait, the Mountie. Oh, then a Mountie is in jail, and he's threatened by a man with a stereotypically gay lisp who suggests he's going to rape him, and everyone laughed because the joke is a man is gay and another man may be sodomized against his will by this gay man. It was 1991, everybody. Is Peacock going to get to that? Because they could not air that today. And Piper's laughing. They go back to Piper. Heenan's upset. Piper's laughing. Hey, a man might be gay. And Piper suggests a few times that Heenan might be a homosexual engaged with General Adnan, I think. And that was the joke. It's the 90s. So let's get away from the sodomization and go to the recap of the wedding proposal. They have a musical tribute video too of all the times Randy and Liz were pretending they were not a domestically abusive couple, or pretending to be one, sort of, not really on TV. Different song. This was not the same song that they used when a pay-per-view aired, because it was a female singer and she was singing something about together, the love will last forever, something like that. And they used a newer song because it's a dude singing with no testosterone, you know what I mean? And you could just tell this song's probably like 8, 9 years old, you know what I mean? It's kind of like some wimpy dude with a guitar who pulls it out at parties, at college parties when he didn't ask him to, so someone will blow him. You know what I mean? It's like that motherfucker. It sounded like that. It just didn't sound something like. It was sung by somebody Randy would have beat up. Is the way it's. They have a wedding. The wedding is beautiful. Bobby Heenan is hilarious for the first minute of this, and Gorilla and Piper are getting angry and angry with their threats that he's going to ruin the whole thing on commentary. Anyway, there's a little bit of. It sounded like a little bit of, yeah, we're kayfabe angry at you, but for real, you need to shut up soon. But Heenan was having a great time. I don't want to spoil his lines and give away his jokes. Watch it on your own. And this is bow number 11, and it's the big one. Randy and Liz on TV get married. They say, I do, where he says, oh yeah, she says, I will, because of the way the guy phrased it. And the minister, whatever, wedding guy, he has a total non-distinct accent until he says state of New York, and he totally dropped that. And in front of the garden, as rowdy and loud as they could be, they were actually really cool during the wedding and went bananas when he said, I now pronounce you man and wife. And were actually totally cool and respectful. And it's showing off the air with Randy and Elizabeth married with 11 freaking golden era bows wrapped up, which I think is one of the reasons I wanted to do this pay-per-view. Later on TV, Because The Undertaker and Jake Roberts are the top two heels in the company right now, and neither are on the show. The Rockers are also not on the show, and they would have disputes with Vince and fight about it and lead to their breakup. And Marty would quit for them, and then Marty and Shawn would fight for real, and then Shawn would go singles in a few months, and that's the whole other thing. I think we covered that at the '92 Rumble, but um, so Taker and Jake are the top two heels. They lured. Oh my goodness! They earlier in the year, Undertaker and Paul Bearer locked Warrior in a metal casket, and he couldn't breathe. And then Jake Roberts befriended the Warrior and took him into a snake pit, and where Warrior got bit by a king cobra or something and got the poison, and he almost died. And yeah, he did not almost die, but you understand it. This whole big theatrical thing, which was awful and awesome at the same time, and everyone bought into it. We just went with it, and we all thought a couple of things. First of all, why is Warrior not fighting Jake or the Undertaker? I mean, wouldn't if you want to make a match made in hell, wouldn't Hogan and Warrior versus Jake Undertaker Slaughter be the crazy handicap match? Something that would excuse the title not being on the line, and I think that match would have been the craziest thing to do. No Warrior versus Jake singles, no Warrior Taker singles, nothing, because Hogan was still just kind of carrying on that Mania 7 feud. Speaking of which, in the same way that Mania 7 they did extra stuff for the Coliseum video and for primetime wrestling, where Slaughter waited for Hogan in his dressing room after the match and threw a fireball at Hogan, and that was not on the pay per view or on the network version of the pay per view. And this pay per view, the following pay per view, they did the same thing. So they had a reception, and I bet you it was last minute. I don't know. But it must have been last minute because with Warrior gone, Jake had this feud with Warrior never getting even with him. And Undertaker too, really. So now what the hell? And you would think, okay, at some point you'd get to Warrior and Hogan versus Jake and Taker, and that could get you to Taker and Hogan at Survivor Series. Warrior could play with Jake. Savage probably was going to take more time off than he did, and Sid would have done whatever the hell Sid was going to do. I don't really know, but because we will never know. But I think he was just so impressive looking as traps. They probably just wanted to. I bet you they just wanted to have him and then figure it out. Just get him here and figure it out. But they do a reception, and this is not on the network or it's. I'm sure it's somewhere, but it's not on the pay per view of this network. A snake pops out of one of the gifts at the wedding reception backstage in Madison Square Garden. Ew, gross. Why would you have your wedding reception there? There's urine everywhere. What the hell is wrong with you? And cops beating up Virgil for no reason in the background. And a snake pops out, and Savage, of course, gets Elizabeth from the snake. But he doesn't get bit. He gets hit with an urn by the Undertaker. And the Undertaker, Paul Bearer, and Jake Roberts are at the wedding. And Sid Justice, okay, that's what they were going to do, yeah. I think Sid Justice ran into the wedding with a white wooden folding chair that you would see at wedding receptions and holds them off and tries to keep the snake away from Elizabeth with Randy Savage down from being hit with an urn. So I guess you would do the Savage Sid Jake Taker tag match. Then what the hell would Hogan do? Oh, that's right, Hogan was going to feud with Flair. So there you go. That's what Hogan was going to do. And then it all got jumbled up because Sid got hurt, and so they went. I don't know. So they did. There's a couple of great funeral parlors in the fall of '91, and I'm not talk about that. Anyway, SummerSlam '91. It's 11 huge bows wrapped up. A lot of weirdness, especially with Jake and Taker. To be a fan at the time, you're like, wow, how are they? That's like if they had a pay per view today and they were gonna listen. We're going to leave off Roman and Drew. You'd be like, huh? Why? I don't know. I don't know the answer. They can't even leave off Shane McMahon, for fuck's sake. Okay, stupid goddamn payment. That's the hardest part of the ring. That was my extra bonus. Chris and Mark. Bob Squad, I hope you guys enjoy the little extra recap. I recommend you flip through this show, especially the intros and all the promos. Watch those. If you want to maybe get through Boss Man, Mountie, or even Irwin and Valentine, it's actually a good little match. I wouldn't skip that. But give it a look. It's a fun show. And what a great time to be a wrestling fan. And after that, everything just got weird. We had Randy Savage being reinstated, but not, unfortunately, I hate to say it, not as the Randy Savage we knew. Yeah, so Randy Savage's run as his first iconic non-stop run was kind of over already too, and he finally marries Elizabeth. So Savage, Warrior Perfect, DiBiase all have these conclusions to their. And DiBiase still wrestled for a few years. He did Money Inc. and all that, but it wasn't the same DiBiase either. Um, so it's the end of an era kind of a show, even though we didn't know it at the time. But one thing you didn't see was people going out of the ring in the last two matches, probably because there was fucking water everywhere. And you didn't see people taking unnecessary risks. You didn't see people taking stupid ass bumps on the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring. Hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you go over the top rope, and then you bang your head on the ring apron. That's when you feel like a big dope. They're the worst bumps you can be taking. Oh, sorry, Diet Dr. Pepper burp. Okay, hit stop. Bye bye.